kind of joke about it with somebody, like they'll ask about the tattoo.
Yeah.
And when I had my first tattoo, people never really made a comment, but since I had it redone, I get a lot more like, what is that? And sometimes I'll joke around and I'll say, well, that's a spaceship. And then I just see what they do from there.
Surprise, surprise.
So Scott, just give me your hand across there and let's just take a look at this spaceship hand, and we'll get a little bit better shot of it in a minute. That's fine. Now we've seen you do have a tattoo on your
I
wrist
do.
that is a spaceship covered over by a dolphin that's covered over by a rose.
Yep.
So what happened? Where did you get to that point?
I think it came back to, I wondered why I wanted to get a tattoo of a rose here in the first place. And I was 19, and I just didn't know why I had to get it, but I had to get it. And Rinpoche had come to Telluride, and he was telling us in one of the Sangha sessions that we had that because we're beginningless beings and we're endless beings, we couldn't really begin on Earth because when Earth was created, we already had to have existed. And he told me that it was the Buddhist belief that all man came from Sirius, the planet Sirius, many millions of years ago. And so that kind of, again, one of those kind of things where the pieces of the puzzle, and this has been a puzzle that I've been going through my whole life. I mean, I can go back to early ages and when I've had conversations with a crow in an area where the 3 railroad tracks came together and formed a triangle. And this crow came and talked to me about my life. And from that point on, my life was, changed. Or crossing over that Comb Ridge in Utah where the geography completely changes and stopping at a wayside and looking out over there, and all of a sudden my whole life changes and the answers keep coming. And so finally, I don't know why I thought about it as a spaceship, but something told me that I was I've always wondered, I've always kind of led people from point A to point B, and that's been one of the things I've done in life. And then I've gone on. I haven't really stayed in one place too long or kept friendships too long, but I've always seemed to be with people in their transition points in life and been someone that could help them get to where they wanted to go. And it kind of all came together that, when all the Carlos Castaneda books on non-ordinary reality and some periods of time experiencing mind-altering drugs and stuff like that, I realized we're more than what we are. And then meeting you and Karen, and especially you and I met for a reason, but then when Karen came into your life, we came together again. It was because of you, and we never would have met if certain circumstances hadn't happened. And that's kind of when it kind of came to me that another spiritual person in my life that told me where this is where you're heading and going. And you remember Charlie Watts.
Mm-hmm.
She did a reading on me and said that I had come from the planet Sirius. And so here was a person that not only wasn't related to this Buddhist monk, but also was a reader. And when she did my history and stuff, that's what she told me I came from. And she was the one that said that I piloted a ship to come here. And I don't know why on your dining room table that day in Norwood, that it came out. I had to tell somebody, and I felt I trusted you two enough to understand that I wasn't just completely all crazy. So that's I guess in a nutshell. I think that the ability of there's parallel realities in this world that we all live in. We're just either so consumed by what we do, or we won't believe that we can experience those other realities through some means.
Scott, one of the things that we've talked to some other people on this trip, and having written this book, I'm not having any trouble at all believing that there are people that have come here and that they're here on purpose and they're here to make a difference. But of course, the vast majority of people are having a little bit of a problem saying, what do you mean people from outer space and the rest of it? But it's totally possible, isn't it?
And I think and you come together with someone that when you meet them, like I think when I met you and especially when I met Karen, that I know that we had belonged together at some previous time. And that when you meet people, that I tell my daughter Jessica this, you're going to meet people in your life that you feel like you belong to that same tribe, and you can't really define, or at that time in my life I really couldn't define what that tribe was, but you were together. You know, whether it's the flashes of reincarnation coming back, and it could be, it is, because it goes back and it goes back and it goes back and it goes, back, and it could be, a 1,000 years ago, or it could be 500,000 years ago. I think our brain can store some of that kind of stuff.
That's exactly what Rupert Sheldrake says in the front of our book, that instead of spending money on elaborate technology and engineering to go places in our local solar system, we'd be much better off to work with our minds to access the genetic memory and go every place in the universe. And I think that all of us have that access, that ability and the access, but we're not accustomed to the idea that we have it or we can use it.
Right.
So Scott, one of the things that we talk about in this book is that right now, not next month, not next year, right now, 2008, this whole species of human beings is about to make a quantum leap into some different level of understanding and awareness and consciousness. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, you and I've kind of talked about that, or you've talked about it quite a bit, and I've thought about it, and I think that we're continually taking quantum leaps. In like geologic time, it's pretty close together, but in our lifetimes, it seems very far apart. And I think we do go through cycles like that, where we have to take that leap to the next plane, and to keep moving forward. So I agree that there's a quantum leap, and we're understanding more how to take that leap. From a scientific point of view, science has proved we can take these quantum leaps, and so now people that would never believe it before, I think, are starting to believe it. So I think there's I think that we're at a time now where we've kind of taken care of, we've kind of gone through our material cycle, and I think there's a cycle of a spiritual explosive growth like there was in technology. Within our lifetimes, it's been so phenomenal. I think we're ready to take a next step to something that's like psychotechnological, technological, or something like that.
Scott, but in this book, we put you in the key leadership position. And I think, frankly, that if you were in that position in a real context instead of a novel, that you'd be perfect for it. But as a leader, what do you think we need to get into the next level of this quantum leap?
I think we have to picture it. I think it's like intentions. I think we have to intend to it and have someone teach people how to intend to get there. We have to picture ourselves, where do we want to be? It's not like a blind leap. I think it's a leap that we're projecting ourselves to go to. Just like in a simple, whether it's a construction project or writing a book, you have to kind of know where you're going, even though you say you just sat down and wrote it, which in your book, in case it was so quick, there was a lot of that, but you knew where you were going, or your consciousness knew where it was going. And I think that's what this leap is getting people to focus, is where do we want to go? And I think that's how we get there.
Okay, Scott Enders.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you so much for this. This is a very special moment in my life.
Thanks.
Bless you.
Thank you.